Yeah, well, don't respond to this question I'm about to make here, because if you do, there's tampering, and I've already we've gone into this too many times here. So I'm just going to make a statement here. But if you're ever interested, in one of those veteran guys who knows everything about defense, I know a guy. I'm not going to tell you who it is, but I do know a guy.
Hey, listen, I think this is such a beautiful question to finish with, because the smiles on our faces just say it all.
Stay frosty and head over to easymutt.com for the cheapest mutt coins on the market. And when I say cheapest, I mean it. We're talking 1 million coins for around $40. Use code DIRECTOR for 5% off. Yo, what up, brothers? What's up? It's the Director. Well, Chargers fans, evidently we have something to talk about today. Richard Sherman to the Chargers. Is it something that could realistically happen? Is it something that the fans even want? Is it something that would benefit the team in any way? Should Richard Sherman come to the Chargers? Now, we're in a very interesting point in the NFL season right now, the preseason, where we don't really hear a lot. And that's because, the NFL free agency hasn't officially began yet. There's only really 3 players on my radar right now that have been connected to the Chargers in some way that I see as some possibility of joining the Bolts this offseason. That being Orlando Brown via trade from the Baltimore Ravens, which I know a lot of us hope that happens. Juju Smith-Schuster, who was playing Twitch with like Austin Eckler, Keenan Allen a couple weeks ago, saying, "Oh, I'm going to be a Charger, my boy Justin Herbert." And now Richard Sherman in this interview with Chris Collinsworth and Brandon Staley. Now, before I go any further, I do have to emphasize this is a great listen. If you guys got any extra time, you're on your way to work, you're sitting on the couch bored, go check out this interview here. Lots of great insight from Coach Staley, but you're really kind of seeing the chemistry built between Staley and Richard Sherman. These two are like peas in a pod. Two very intelligent football minds right there. I'm gonna say that right now too. I have a tremendous respect for Richard Sherman, the student of the game. Very, very intelligent human being. He understands the defensive side of the ball in a way not very many players in the NFL do. His football IQ is through the roof. His play rec is through the roof. His awareness is through the roof. These two were kind of made to yik yak at some point. They're kind of nerds of the game, both of them, and I really, really, really respect that. But still, I'm not sold on the thought of Richard Sherman coming to the Chargers. I'm kind of over the thought of cornerbacks over the age of 30 coming to the Bolts. But I do think we found a way where he might be able to fit on this team. The more I've been thinking about it, the more I've seen the chemistry between him and Coach Staley, the more I'm thinking, okay, if I'm Coach Staley and I see a guy like Richard Sherman, I see maybe some of the struggles that he's having, maybe some of the injury concern that he's having. How do I utilize him on this team? If I really want him on this team for his veteran leadership, a little bit of playing time he has left, in his career, how can I utilize that? I think I kind of figured out a way to bring him to the Bolts where he isn't a liability, it's not wasting cap, and he does bring a lot to the team this season. We're going to be talking about that in just a second. So before we do get started, guys, hit us up with a like and sub if you do enjoy this content. Small amount of time you guys take to hit the like, sub, and bell notification helps me out a lot. Really, guys, it truly helps out a lot. Thank you to everybody so much for your support. Getting excited to come up into free agency here in the next couple of weeks. Let's get into this video. Lights, camera, action. Richard Sherman to the Chargers. It could happen, but should it happen? Now, honestly, guys, I actually saw this little post here on Twitter from NFL Analysis a couple of days before even that interview dropped with Brandon Staley and Richard Sherman. So there's been rumors, at least, floating around for the last couple of days, maybe the last couple of weeks, that this could happen. And now this kind of does add some fuel to that fire a little bit. Now, Richard Sherman, I've also been reading articles when I started, thinking about would he even leave the 49ers? Is he coming to the Chargers? I read a lot of stuff about him insinuating his days with the San Francisco 49ers are over, and that kind of makes sense. He wants to play until he's 35. He's kind of declared that already. In order to do that, I think a transition is required, transition of teams, and perhaps a transition of position. Let's take a look at this. I posted this on Twitter yesterday to kind of stir the pot a little bit, get you guys' brains moving. And one of the things I said here is that what if we signed him to the Chargers and we started him at free safety? And this is something that they've already started tinkering with in San Francisco last season. They gave him some reps at safety to kind of see, how he plays in a single high position. Honestly, he did pretty well. This may be a sign of a transition for Sherman in the future. And this is one where I start opening my mind a little bit like, okay, what if we do sign Richard Sherman? He's not going to be your slow corner. He's not going to be a guy that's maybe a liability in coverage, especially man coverage. He's going to be your safety. A safety with some of the best play rec, some of the best awareness, some of the best experience in the NFL playing safety. Okay, you're starting to sell me a little bit. You're starting to convince me a little bit. But the biggest thing that really, really sells me on the idea of Richard Sherman coming to the Chargers is this: Brandon Staley and Richard Sherman. Two of the best football minds in the NFL. Just imagining these guys in the film room is almost magical, right? Majestic. They were bouncing ideas off of each other in this interview about how to stop the Kansas City Chiefs, which actually, let's go ahead and show a little clip here.
Richard, I had to break up you and Brandon because you guys had a common bond of trying to figure out how you're going to stop the Kansas City Chiefs going into this next season here. You guys were having a good off-air discussion about Patrick Mahomes and company.
Now, that clip has been kind of used as insinuating he's coming to the Chargers. I don't know, man, how far I would take that, but it's very obvious that there is a huge, huge chemistry and respect between Richard Sherman and Brandon Staley. Does that mean he's coming to the Chargers? No, it's all speculation. It's rumors at this point. That's what we have to talk about at this point in the offseason. But to me, again, talking about Richard Sherman moving to free safety, moving into a system like Brandon Staley's, does make a lot of sense, because Brandon Staley, he talked a lot in that interview about using players to their strengths, putting him in positions to succeed. They talked a lot about his influence and his effect on Jalen Ramsey last season with the Los Angeles Rams, which I would give him a lot of credit for. You know, instead of, putting Jalen Ramsey on the outside where he, honestly was probably brought in for the Rams to be utilized, he put him more inside, put him more closer to the action, made sure that he was being utilized to his full potential every single game. And that's why Jalen Ramsey had so much success in Los Angeles with the Rams. Now, Richard Sherman, I can kind of see being used the same way. In my research of Richard Sherman possibly moving to free safety, I found a couple of different interviews and articles and videos talking about Eric Davis. I don't know if you guys know him from NFL Network, former NFL great, played for the 49ers. He did compare this move to Merton Hanks. He thinks that he could play free safety similar to the production of Merton Hanks, even at the age of, I think, like 32 right now, for Richard Sherman. And honestly, we take a look at Merton Hanks. I honestly do not think we're going to see anything near the production of Merton Hanks. Obviously, he started cornerback early in his career and then also moved to safety early in his career. So he really knew the position of safety well throughout most of his career in the NFL. Richard Sherman, however, playing, entirely cornerback his career. If he moves to safety, can we expect these numbers to go up? Because right now I'm seeing a lot of red flags. I'm seeing an injury in 2017. I'm seeing an injury in 2020. I'm seeing maybe a couple of injuries between 2018 and 2019. I do not like injuries. I do not like cornerbacks over the age of 30. But at safety, maybe. It would need to come at a very, very cheap price. And I'm talking cheap. In this present time, $12 million against the cap this last season. That's too much. I think in the 2021 year, we're going to see veterans sign some of the team-friendliest deals we've ever seen because of the low cap that we're seeing due to the pandemic this last year. So if we're talking Richard Sherman, $5 million contract, maybe $10 million contract over 2 years, 15 at most is what I think I'd be willing to pay over 2 years for Richard Sherman, then I'm starting to think about it if he's going to be playing free safety. And the reason that Richard Sherman at free safety kind of gets me excited is because of his experience. Because of his ball hawking ability. Richard Sherman, to me, is no longer that shifty guy. He's no longer that physical guy, maybe even. But what he is a ball hawk to me. And maybe playing safety with the Chargers where they can move him around a little bit. Maybe this is the best fit for him in the NFL, thus giving the Chargers a good, excuse to bring him on the team. Not even excuse, but a good reason to bring him on the team. Because he'll bring in productivity for us. Because I can honestly see him producing 4 to 5 picks a season playing safety. Because playing safety versus playing cornerback, in my opinion, is all about positioning. And when you're a cornerback, you need to possess those physical traits as far as skill in agility, speed, the ability to position yourself against your assigned wide receiver. free safety, in my opinion, it gives you a little bit more leeway. If he understands, if he has the play rec to understand what's happening in front of him before it happens, he could position himself well before the quarterback even understands, that he's not open. His guy's not open. Richard Sherman understood maybe it was like a fade, maybe it was like a deep in, maybe it was a post, and position himself well before the ball gets thrown. That's something I see of value from Richard Sherman. And yes, I'm really trying to talk myself into this a little bit, because this is a real possibility. This is a possibility that Richard Sherman comes to the Chargers. Now, his best trait, in my opinion, is his awareness in football, his play rec, his experience. And that's something that I feel like a guy like Brandon Staley could definitely utilize with this team. But again, he's going to have to take a huge pay cut. He cannot play cornerback for us. He cannot hold down speedy receivers like Tyreek Hill, Henry Ruggs, and Jerry Jeudy. It's too much. His injury history is too much. If this all adds up to a very, very cheap contract with Richard Sherman, if he switches position to free safety, he gets plenty of reps in the offseason during training camp playing free safety. I'm starting to open my mind up to it a little bit. But here's where I ask you guys, what's your guys' verdict? Do you want Richard Sherman coming to the Chargers? Do you think he could provide any value to the Chargers playing free safety? What if the Chargers decide to go after John Johnson, which is definitely my strong preference to this point of the Chargers filling out that void? I don't know. I'll give you guys my honest opinion right now. Hopefully you guys have typed in your opinions in the comments. Do it right now. Pause the video. Don't let me influence what you guys are about to say. At this point, it's a pass for me. The Chargers need to move in the direction of the future, and I still do want youth and speed on this team. But I do need to acknowledge the fact that this is a possibility. Richard Sherman in this interview with Brandon Staley, that clip that I saw with my own two eyes, the chemistry, the making sense of changing positions and stuff like that, I have to acknowledge that it's definitely a very strong possibility. One of 3 strong possibilities that I have pegged this season. So if he does come to the Chargers, I want to make sure I'm prepared, that I understand what his role may be with this team. And honestly, under the right circumstances, I would be okay with it. But my official stances on it right now is I want to bring in youth and speed. I want to bring in fresh players with high ceilings that could develop under Coach Staley rather than play with him a couple of years and then have to retire. So that's my stance there. Well, guys, I hope you did enjoy. Hit us up with a like and sub on your way out if you did enjoy this content. We'll see you next time. And as always, bolt up and stay frosty.